Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, Pro Football Hall of Famer.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Good. Where you guys from?
Based out of Chicago.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
A lot warmer here.
Yes, it is.
When did you get into town?
Last night. It is
Okay.
kind of cold here, though. It's actually colder here than it is in Boulder.
Really?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You got to watch it at night.
So how first of all, before we even get into it, you're working with Oikos.
True.
Why don't you
Love
tell
Oikos.
people why you're working with Oikos and what's going on?
It strives to support all the strengths that make us unstoppable. You have a strength, I have a strength, he has a strength, and that strength has been consistent in my life for some time, and it makes us unstoppable. I have a company now that I partner with to understand who we are, what we are, and how we are, and they brought my family aboard because we all about competition. Like, we compete. I'm pretty sure siblings and families compete, and we have a commercial for the second year in a row. It's a Super Bowl spot that we're competing. My mama, my sister, both my sons and my daughter, and I absolutely love it. I can't wait till the country season.
Awesome. Yeah. So now you take over the job in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Big job. You move on from Jackson State.
Yes.
How excited are you for the challenge of going into bigger conference, crazy competition,
Very
a
excited.
lot of recruiting wars, all that? I mean,
All my
how you
life
looking
been
at it?
competition. We just talked about competition. Didn't we? Everything is a competition. And when you got up and put on your outfit, when somebody walked and saw you, it's a competition. They judging the way you dress, the way you walk, the way you talk, your ratings and all that.
Yeah.
Life is about competition. And I love to win. And I love to be dominant in it. So this is just another chapter that I can't wait to open. I'm excited immensely about what we're going to do at Colorado.
What surprised you the most going from being a player to becoming a coach?
Understanding the different personalities and getting to know the different attributes of all the kids. I'm a different type of coach. I don't just coach this or coach that. I try to get to know my entire team, including the walk-ons, the support staff, and all. Everybody that touches those kids, I need to touch myself.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you about your playing days. You won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back, 2 different teams, 2 iconic teams.
Right.
Which team was the better team, the 94 Niners or
The 94
95
Niners.
Cowboys? 94 Niners.
Yeah, that team was loaded. I believe we might have finished first or second offensively and defensively that year. You had an offense MVP and a defense MVP. I mean, how many times did that happen? So that team was loaded. You had a coaching staff that was unbelievable. Both DCs and OCs, both OC and DC went on to be head coaches. Great staff, great group of guys. And I think from that team is several Hall of Famers.
Oh, yeah.
From that team alone.
Now, I got to ask to build on that. You know, you guys played Dallas that year, won in Candlestick. You go to the Super Bowl down in Miami, you're playing the Chargers. You're almost a 3-touchdown favorite in the
You
game.
should have been.
Was it hard to focus? Like, were you?
No.
I mean, you go down there, you're like,
That's
we
what
beat
you do.
Dallas. I mean, was it hard?
How's it hard for a grown man to focus on what he's getting a check to do? That don't even, that when people say stuff like that's what you get paid to do. It's just like saying, is it hard for you to focus right now?
Yeah, I just figured you beat the Cowboys. It's got to be
No.
almost like the Super Bowl. Then you're like, okay, now it's the Chargers.
No. It wasn't a letdown. You got to put the exclamation mark at the end of the sentence.
Oh, you did it.
Yeah, we tried.
Now, we covered the AFC Championship game,
Okay.
and there was a lot of trash talk going into that game, a lot of it coming from the Bengals side. Who was the biggest trash talker you encountered in your career?
Nobody talk trash to me. Nobody ain't that crazy. Nobody ain't that risque.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk. Contrary to proper belief, I never talked on the field. I talked to you guys after the game, but I never talked about my opponent. I never downed anyone I ever played against in my life, and I never was ignorant to anyone I ever played against in my life. I love the challenge of it.
Yeah.
Was there ever a receiver for you? You're like, this guy,
Got it.
no doubt, toughest covers, Jerry Rice?
Yeah, Jerry.
Somebody else?
Jerry, Mike Irvin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Now, Rice, obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
without parallel, no question. But wasn't a guy who was 6'5", wasn't a guy, but obviously an incredible route runner. What was it about him to you that was the biggest?
Jerry?
With Jerry, what was the biggest challenge
Jerry
of his
Jerry
game?
was in shape. If I'm bumping and running you and get my hands on you every play, it's kind of tough. If you're not in condition, I'm gonna wear you down probably by the second, third quarter, and you could just take away the deep ball. That's not gonna happen. Okay, you're not gonna outrun me.
Right.
So now it's got to be a thinking man's game. And what you got to understand about those eras is that not only was the receiver a potential Hall of Famer, and they went on to be, but the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Throwing him the darn ball was a Hall of Famer. So that made it extra hard So now you may have the quarterback that's great, not the receiver, or you may have the receiver great, not the quarterback. Rarely do you see both on the field at the same time.
Kind of going back to your coaching career, I'm just interested, as a leader myself and our organization, what's the most important thing for a leader to do to create change? You're coming into a program, you want to help these kids win on the kind of level that you've won.
When you identify what needs to be done, do it. Yeah. Don't talk about it. Don't procrastinate about it. Get it done. Yeah. And don't wait for somebody else to do it. Go do it. And what needs to be said, say it.
How do you feel about, with college football now, the shift with these NIL deals? I mean, obviously, there's always been stuff behind it. Now it's just in front of the scenes. The curtains have been raised.
There's a difference. It's NIL and there's collectives. You talk NILs is a beautiful package, but how many guys have NILs? NILs mean I'm going to pay you for your name, image, and likeness. How is your name, image, and likeness? How does that have worth when you're coming out of high school? Who's going to go buy a product because your name, image, they don't know you. Okay, so that's not name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness should be reserved for players that have established themselves. That's what it should be. Now, the collectives are totally different. That's just the boosters and the money guys putting a pot of money together and someone delegating where it goes. That's totally different. That's what happened to the NCAA, which I don't think that was supposed to happen. They didn't safeguard against that. Yeah. So now we are where we are. Yeah. But I want these guys, I don't want them to be hungry or starving and have desperate needs when a university is prospering as well. So I can understand. But I don't want you to be in college rich. I want you to be in college hungry for the next level. So I want those guys to focus on the NFL, not the NILs.
Speaking of image, when was the earliest you remember being called primetime?
High school. I dropped 36 one night and had a couple dunks back to back. And my homie looked at me and said, "You prime time." I said, "You're right."
Right. Love it. I love it.
You moonlight a little bit in the NFL as a receiver. You're catching a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
If you just
playing as receiver,
both ways. Somebody says, hey, whether it's George Seifert or it's Switcher.
They should have let me play offense in San Francisco. You know what? In San Francisco, I never even returned kicks.
Yeah. Actually, I looked
you know why?
Why?
Because of my heart. Now let me explain. See, I got you, but let me explain. Because everybody said
you got the mic. Go nuts.
The return man for the San Francisco 49ers at that time was Dexter Carter. Mm-hmm. Dexter Carter went where? In Florida State. Mm-hmm. He was my guy. So I would have felt real bad coming to take his job. So I wanted him to shine. But just think, I didn't return, I believe, one kick in a whole season.
That's
yeah.
You made it for lost time.
So did the coaches come to you and say, we want you to return kicks, and you said no?
No, they never even mentioned it.
Huh.
Never even mentioned it. Somebody said something about it.
Yeah.
I think the special team coach. I said, no, he got it. He got it.
That's what I was going to ask you, though, is if they had just said, hey, look, whatever you want, you play both ways, do whatever you want to do. Could you have been a 1,000-yard receiver?
Of course. Ain't nobody could cover me but me. Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. Speaking of that, I'm upset with the Hall of Fame again, like I always am. How can Devin Hester not be a Hall of Famer?
I think it's a great question.
This is the most idiotic thing I've ever seen in my life. Devin Hester changed the darn game. Devin Hester made it possible that no one went to use the bathroom on fourth downs. They held it until the offense got out there, okay, because of Devin Hester.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me for the second consecutive year he is not a Hall of Famer? Who is picking this stuff?
Yeah,
he changed the game.
It's a great question because we were just talking before you sat down about how so many guys who are special teams players, maybe not the sexiest positions in the world, they seem to be so marginalized when it comes down to this stuff.
Well, Devin Hester is different.
Ever at anything.
Yes.
And Hester is a great example because you're right. He actually was. I mean, he was putting points on the board.
He changed the
field
game.
Position at the least.
A Hall of Famer. The definition to me, what I was told as a kid growing up, it's a guy that changed the game. This is a guy that you couldn't deal with, that you had the game plan, that took over the game, changed the game no matter what. You knew unequivocally what he was going to do during that game that you paid your ticket or you turned on your TV to go watch. And he did that. So how in the world do you pick some of these guys and Devin Hester is not in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, I know you've talked about the fact you feel like there should be like levels to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it should be a level.
Okay.
But we should pick the level. Like the upper room, the other guys who pick it, they done a good job. They're good. Okay, now that's it for you. The players should pick the upper room.
Okay. Yeah. How many would you, if it's up to you, put thought in this, How many guys do you put in the upper room? How exclusive of a club is that for you?
It's an exclusive club. It's like a billionaire club. You got to earn that.
Yeah.
Nobody giving you that. You got to earn that. And I don't know how many spots they would have, but it's a very exclusive club. And when we look at each other, we identify and we say, yeah,
You're
that's
in.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you deserve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it bother you the players don't have more of a say of who gets in the first place?
No, because some players are biased as well as reporters. But it does not. Reporters go by statistics and all that stuff. You should go by what your body of work and how you impacted the game.
Is there a guy from your era, maybe even a couple of guys, who you look at and go, how is that dude not in the Hall?
Yeah,
who
Sterling
are those
Sharp.
guys?
Let's start with Sterling Sharp.
Great player.
Yeah,
Injuries.
yeah.
Cut him short.
Still.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. Let's just go with that guy right there, number one.
Okay.
Well, we know you got to get out of here. We really appreciate you stopping
Thank
by.
you.
Real quick before you go, I'm sure everyone's asking you who you got on Sunday.
I'm going with the Eagles. I just think they have a lot of momentum. They're playing their butts off. Defensively, they're stout. I've seen a lot of holes defensively with KC. The receivers going down was problematic. They just got to figure out a way to stop Kelsey, and they should have this game.
Okay. Well, hey,
Appreciate you guys,
Yeah.
man.
Coach
for coming
Prime,
by.
thanks so much.
Thank
Deion
you.
Sanders,
Appreciate
Hall of
You guys
Fame.
keep up the good work, guys.
Hey,
we will
thanks
do.
a lot.
Take care.
Deion Sanders, who would be in the upper room, by the way, if there wasn't an upper room for the Hall
Yeah,
of
the
Fame?
upper room
Got that right.
might be named after.
That's right.